afternoon, everybody. My name is Nathan Platt. This is my second report for HSEM 445. Today I'm going to be talking about Chipotle Mexican Grill, some of the problems that they've had since early 2015 with food poisoning problems in some of their restaurants. I'll focus specifically on one major outbreak that occurred in December of 2015 in a Chipotle restaurant just outside of Boston, Massachusetts. In that case, the culprit, what made people sick, was determined to be norovirus. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. That was one of the worst outbreaks that the company had. It really led to them initiating some business recovery procedures. Talking a little bit about norovirus, it's extremely contagious. It's spread through contaminated food and touching contaminated surfaces. It causes stomach and intestinal irritation, can lead to pain, nausea, diarrhea, and vomiting. Most people do recover from norovirus infection. It's particularly dangerous for the elderly and very small children. There are 20 million cases reported a year in the U.S., and of those 20 million, about 800 are fatal. There were no fatalities associated with the norovirus outbreak at the Boston Chipotle restaurant. Some of the reasons that this happened at Chipotle specifically, going back to the founding of the company, Steve Ells opened the first Chipotle in 1993 just outside of Denver, Colorado. And he opened the restaurant on the idea that they would use whenever and wherever possible locally grown, non-GMO, cage-free meats and fresh vegetables. They also use traditional cooking methods rather than automation. And most of the prep of the food is done in each store rather than in a central location. After the norovirus outbreak and some of the other food poisoning problems that the company had, industry analysts were very quick to blame some of these practices for the problems. They made the point that buying local and organic produce doesn't necessarily mean that the food was handled safely. Traditional cooking methods could mean that meats and vegetables haven't been cooked to a safe internal temperature, and preparing raw ingredients in store is more likely to mean that the vegetables and meats haven't been handled properly, and you risk cross-contamination when that happens. They've pointed out that really this is all a marketing gimmick. This is trying to attract people that want to eat, healthier, non-GMO, farm-to-table type foods. That the company really is essentially trying to trick people into buying their food. That they're trying to convince people that this is a great way to go, when really it's kind of a dangerous thing. In a 2014 shareholder report that Chipotle issued, they admitted that these practices were risky and that they could lead to food poisoning problems. So let's talk about their disaster recovery plan. On February 8th, 2016, Chipotle closed all 1,900 of its stores for the entire day. And while the stores were closed, they had employee meetings, they did employee retraining in each store, they introduced new food handling protocols that were intended to make everything safer. Every store was thoroughly cleaned and sanitized, and all raw materials, all meats and vegetables in the entire store, all 1,900 of them, were disposed of and replaced with fresh stock. Some other steps that the company has taken since the norovirus outbreak in Boston, they've moved processing of some of their vegetables to a centralized location. Used to be they chopped everything in the store. Now lettuce and tomatoes specifically are processed in a central location with some more controls so they can make sure there's no contamination. They did this for better quality control. They don't prepare meats and vegetables at the same time in any of their stores. Different times a day so that there's no cross-contamination problems. They've introduced a new procedure to blanch vegetables before they use them. And blanching is a process where they briefly immerse vegetables in a big pot of boiling water to kill surface bacteria, supposedly without affecting the flavor. They're doing this with avocados, onions, and all of their citrus fruit. Also, the company now offers employees paid sick leave, which they weren't doing before. Of course, this is to encourage their employees to stay home if they're not feeling well, hopefully to avoid future norovirus outbreaks. They've also increased the number of audits by their in-house staff and third-party inspectors, looking for problems before they get out of hand. Probably a good idea. The company has also introduced a state-of-the-art barcode system with their producers so that they can track each raw ingredient, and if they do have another outbreak of norovirus or E. coli, some of the other things they've had problems with, they can very quickly trace the contamination back to the source. So now that they've done that, they had to try to get their customers back. They started an aggressive new marketing campaign. They ran ads in national newspapers like the New York Times and USA Today, outlining all of these new protocols that they've initiated. Steve Ells promised a farm-to-fork risk assessment of every ingredient and food handling protocol, and he claimed that they could get a near-zero risk of future outbreaks using their new protocols. The campaign is likely to cost the company about $50 million in the first quarter of 2016 alone. They also sent coupons out to a lot of their customers offering free food, and one article that I found said that in the month of February alone they had given away 9 million free burritos in an effort to bring people back into the stores. It's pretty good. So did all this work? In short, no, at least not yet. Since August 2015, their stock price has fallen about 47%. One article that I read said that it would probably take the company until at least 2018 to recover financially, assuming that there were no future problems with norovirus or E. coli, no future food poisoning outbreaks associated with the stores. In conclusion, their business recovery plan was really too little, too late. They knew that there were problems. They should have been more aggressive before they had food poisoning outbreaks, but they really weren't. They were just hoping that it would all be okay. The free food and the slick advertising campaign were just not enough to bring their customers back, at least not yet. It's kind of early in this. We're only a couple of months into their business recovery plan. Assuming they don't have any more problems down the road, they may do okay. I guess it's too early to tell, but we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, everybody.